Hello and welcome to another episode of What We Are Watching. I'm Ed from Knack Entertainment, and let's just dive right in. Everybody introduce yourselves.
Catherine, I'm here. Hello.
Hi, it's Liz.
And John.
All right, welcome everybody. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first because the last podcast, I promised or I was excited about.
Yeah, you brought it up.
Law and Order. I mean,
Nailed it.
the effort for our sound effects. Dun dun. Okay, so Law and Order, the OG, the original Dick Wolf was bringing back his first, how we all basically got on board with the Law and Order franchise, which now has gone off on. I think there might be
Multiple spinoffs?
Yeah, because there's been Law and
They're
Order.
interested in all kinds of law and all kinds of order. They're just, they got real specific after the original series.
And there's been ones that have continued and not. And then it was kind of shocking.
Yeah, some stuck and some kind of didn't.
Right. And it was very much like, whoa, when the original basically went off the air. But Law and Order
Although, sorry to interrupt. I mean, the original never really went off the air. It just switched channels and then went into repeat mode for like the next 20
yes,
years.
correct.
I mean, it's been in syndication forever, ever. Yes.
That's really what I mean.
And the thing is, I can usually guess who the criminal is.
Ooh.
And it's also like my counterpoint to Sex and the City, where I can pretty much watch Law and Order again and again and again and be like, oh, wait, I don't remember this. My husband's like, what? You're
I
full of
vaguely
shit.
remember this storyline, so I probably know who did it, but I'm not sure, so I'll just watch it
There's
again.
some element. So Law and Order was the first. And then I don't really know the order of what came next, but there was Law and Order Special Victims Unit. Mariska, one of my favorites.
Oh, yeah.
Law and Order Criminal Intent, which the reason why I think everybody was really surprised by that one was sort of the cast in it, because it was led by
Vincent D'Onofrio.
Yes, which was like pretty freaking.
John, can you help with that pronunciation?
D'Onofrio? I think it's D'Onofrio.
How's Catherine getting one right? Fine.
What?
Catherine gets a
Point
credit.
for Catherine.
Look, here, because I don't ever rely on reading it. I only rely on how I've heard it, because I can't spell and I can't read. So I just remember how I've heard it.
Yeah,
That's
being
all.
dyslexic, it's almost like your hearing is a superpower.
Yeah, and I like to
I
add.
do like to think that.
Yes.
it like really graphically enhance words and just extra letters in there. Yeah, just get some extra N's and F's in there. That sounds great. I mispronounced it.
So what I was going to say about Vincent was he was a movie star.
Movie star for sure.
yeah.
And really highly acclaimed. So when he decided to do this television series, it was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And he really brought such a unique, weird, quirky, eccentric
Characterization.
Yeah, loved it. That show no longer even exists, I think. And because there was someone that kind of came into his role after he left, but that one went off the air. And there was a Law and Order True Crime. I don't even, believe me, I watched it. Can't remember about that one. Law and Order Trial by Jury.
That one I don't remember. That
Law and
version
Order
of-
Los Angeles. I mean, like that was like, because Law and Order, the original OG is New York. They film it in New York. It's gritty. They use tons of New York Broadway actors to fill all these cameo roles or reoccurring.
But at the time that like Law and Order was spinning off, all the cop shows were spinning off into their own other cop shows. CSI had like 4 versions that was going on. They started in Vegas and that was great, but then they ended up everywhere. CSI Miami. That was like almost its own entire iconic series that didn't even feel like CSI Las Vegas. Similar to the Law and
didn't
Order.
that have the famous? He started off.
What's his name with the redhead? I didn't watch it.
Wait,
I like
someone has to
original.
read it
I'm
because
doing it right now.
Catherine's on it.
That's actually.
While Catherine's looking that up, I want to go back really quick and say, did you have that Jeff Goldblum was in?
Yes,
Oh my
I was going to
God.
get.
Okay, good.
He
You're
took
good
over
in
for
there. Okay,
Vincent on Criminal Intent, and my love for Jeff.
Oh, it's David Caruso, of
Okay,
course.
so
Caruso.
David.
Oh.
I couldn't
Yes.
remember it, but now as soon as I see
didn't
it, I'm like,
trust
yep.
myself after my first boff on names. I'm just not going to dive in.
But
again.
I guess his exit was pretty famous. Like the series was doing well, and he was like, "And I'm out."
Yeah, I'm going to
What?
go on to bigger and better things. Oh, you're not. Sorry.
Not really.
No,
but-
I
First of all, no one needs to be mean to Vincent. We all love
No,
him.
not David
Vincent.
Caruso.
Not
Caruso. We
Vincent.
fully got on a sidetrack.
Oh, as usual. Keep going.
And we're not being mean to David Caruso. It was well known that CSI Miami was very popular
Extremely.
and led by him. And it was really shocking that he was like, I'm out of here.
Yeah,
and
so-
it ended up being a mistake because the movie career really didn't take off. He's a very talented actor. Everybody out there, give him roles. He deserves it. So we're not being
We
mean.
don't have his phone number, but get on it.
as long as we're in this conversation, whoever's in charge of rebooting CSI Miami, David Caruso is available.
I think he's had
know that,
and I think he's continued to work.
I wonder if the recent reboot of CSI Las Vegas was actually sort of in the back of the minds of the people, like, hey, let's reboot the original Law and Order. Wonder how the timing on that all worked out.
Well,
You know, it would have been
going
amazing
back to the same well. That happens a lot.
brought Caruso to Las Vegas in the reboot. First of all, I don't need credit for that. I just need a job when you guys hear this.
They might have, because I have those in the queue and I haven't watched them
nice.
because some of the original actors came back and that's why I was intrigued. But to get back into the
Back on
Law
track.
and Order mode, so Law and Order Special Victims Unit has pretty much stayed on. I think it's in its 21st season, which is incredible, or 22nd.
23rd.
23. Holy moly.
Good for them. That is freaking incredible. And they launched last year, because I think it's in its second season, Law and Order Organized Crime, which I'll get into too. So this last week we came back and we're basically back into what will be the spring season to go all the way into hiatus, which people know, take a break. Although it's so interesting, normal network television actually still sticks to that sort of fall through spring schedule.
Yeah, they do. I mean,
unlike streaming, which just drops to
any old time.
So we're sort of, they took a break over the holidays, especially because of the Olympics, and now we're back. And they came back with a new Law and Order, new Law and Order SVU, and new episodes of Law and Order Organized Crime. I mean, I have really got into Law and Order. So my big takeaways from the original OG Law and Order coming back, I watched 2 episodes of it, and it was kind of interesting because they brought back Anthony Anderson from Blackish, which is wrapping up this year.
I saw a funny interview where he was like, I heard it was coming back and my show was wrapping up. So I called up Dick Wolf and was like, hey, I am available. It was very cute.
Back.
Good for him.
Kevin Bernard, detective. He's got a new partner played by Jeffrey Donovan, who, does a lot of work, is a pretty well-known actor. And I feel like he's like the curmudgeon. Like he's going to be a lot of the PC elements, like bringing up like where you're like, ooh, he shouldn't have said that, or ooh, he shouldn't have done that.
Interesting.
So they're kind of having him handle those type of issues. And Cameron Manheim is the lieutenant.
Oh,
and
love
she's
it.
gruff. She's tough. She doesn't take shit. So I like her. But you know what I'm not used to because of the Special Victims Unit? You're following both, the crime that happens and the whole, whether the court case, the criminal element, all the way through. I honestly had sort of forgotten that Law and Order, it's sort of like split in two. I was like, what is happening? Where's the twists and turns? Like, normally all the things that they do in the episodes I've gotten used to. I'm like, well, this can't be the person because there's going to be another twist. No, this is the person. What?
The tropiest trope, but it's kind of a very enjoyable, like, oh, it's a Law and Order episode. All right, first 15 minutes. That actor is way too well known. He's totally the murderer.
Exactly.
And then you got to wait 40 minutes. I'm like, I knew it was him. Freaking wait 40 minutes. You had me misdirected like 7 times.
Yeah, they still would do a lot of misdirects and
they need to
try and get you off the scent.
Who's that waiter in the background? He's in a soap opera.
Yeah,
obviously
he's looking
the
very
murderer.
shifty. Yeah, I will say they need to find their footing because the first 2 episodes. Here's a little spoiler alerts. Watch them. Remember, ripped from the headlines. Wait,
so you said there's 2 episodes. It just started. Did they do 2 back to back?
Yeah, I feel like they dropped one on one of the nights, probably after Special Victims Unit or Organized Crime, and I think then they picked up on their regular night. So
they did sort of like a preview-y on a different
2.
night and then their main night.
Right, exactly. And so that's why I was able to watch them back to back. And ripped from the headlines, the first one was sort of a Cosby send-up. And the second one is the Elizabeth Holmes about the,
don't even, because that's what I'm going to talk about later, because there's a new series on Hulu.
So I'm not surprised they took those on, but I'm like, wow, the first 2 episodes, the woman is the criminal. Like, because I can't, the Cosby should have been the criminal in the first episode, but I'm not going to lay out what they do.
On.
Yeah, exactly. So that was a little like, wow, can we, I don't know.
I got a question for you.
Ladies, wow.
I definitely didn't watch season by season or when it was premiering. It was like, oh, that's fine. I can just leave that on in the background.
You can, because every episode typically is
it's
an
almost like a
standalone. Yeah.
But I do know that there are character arcs and there are story progressions and things like that. Was there ever any... Listen, I'm not trying to spoil anything this season because I probably won't watch the season until it's all out. And then maybe I'll catch all up at once. But has there ever been a, like, bad DA who's, like, doing like bad deals and stuff like that was like fully the main character? Obviously not Sam Waterston.
We gotta talk about him. Yeah.
He's always on the up and up.
Well, he has had some, not full Stabler vengeance issues, but Waterston has occasionally gotten close. I do remember there was a bad DA episode. It was like, our friend back from Rockaway Beach, and we grew up together, and it turns out we're bad together. It was like,
oh wow.
Well, I meant more of like a Shonda Rhimes entire season or multiple seasons of this guy's tearing this department apart and no one knows.
Not so much on Law and Order, but for sure on Special Victims Unit. The entire organized crime is Stabler, and we got to get into that. So, yes, I feel on the other franchise ones, but not so much on Law and Order. But so Sam Waterston is back as District Attorney Jack McCoy. But they need here's my call out to you, Dick Wolf and NBC. We need more of him because he's not the assistant district attorney, which is played by Hugh Dancy. So he's really the one in the court, and he has an assistant, also a female, which is very good. The actress, I didn't recognize her, but she's awesome. So, we need more Sam Waterston. They can't just be coming and being like, Jack, what are we going to do about this?
But that was kind of
the confession going to be thrown out? Yes, I know, but I don't want him playing that role.
I know. Like, you want more.
And he's always off to lunch or throwing on his trench coat and hat. One scene looked like Carmen.
Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego?
One scene he looked like Carmen Sandiego. Yes, where in the world is Carmen Sandiego?
Why do you guys even know that show?
Because of Ethan, my son, at one point.
I don't know why.
You're talking about the animated one, which doesn't count.
Yes, it did. I watched, and very trench coaty and hatty.
John.
I'm like, Sam Waterston, but his eyebrows are really under control now.
Yeah.
And I think
which is nice.
I can give Grace and Frankie credit for that probably. But so I will say, like, overall, like, they're finding their footing. I'm excited, but then I've really SVU with Mariska and the overlap they're doing with organized crime with Chris Maloney is so good. And Dylan McDermott is like oh my gosh, he's like a crime lord. He's awful in organized crime, but he's so good. So I highly recommend Law & Order Organized Crime for Chris Maloney just himself. I mean, the chemistry bubbling up in Special Victims Unit, crossing over to organized crime between Stabler and Benson is our modern day moonlighting.
Oh no, is it?
Yes.
But it's also like some people are like a long time coming with those two. Like
it'll be so freaking weird if they actually do it, but
you can't.
I totally kind of agree, but at the same time, they're completely leading us down this pathway, and
but do we want it? Yeah, that's the thing. It's the question.
Actually, at this point, it would be so creepy, but Dylan McDermott's character is totally pushing it forward. So are some of the other characters by basically riling Christopher Maloney up. But, I mean, you still have Ice-T on SVU, which is so amazing.
Are you telling me?
He's so great. So, I mean, that also came back. Great episodes. They kind of are doing as well, ripped from the headlines as always. But so I was just all in Law and Order this week, which was fantastic.
Yeah, wow. Deep into the Law and Order world.
Well, yeah, as a counterpunch to what I did watch with my son, which was Murderville, which actually there was also about detectives.
But a complete comedy send-up of this type of show.
Oh my gosh.
I got one pitch that I want to throw out for Mr. Dick Wolf, because he's obviously listening to this podcast.
Oh, of course he is,
right?
sure. Mm-hmm.
I figured out what the missing element and what the show is that I was trying to guess at. Like, is there a bad... Oh, no. Law and Order, Internal Investigations. And it's like all crossover. It's people from all the other shows being checked out and investigated, and this thing that happened. Why not? Why would you do that? It's a specialty court. It would be really cool to do like an inside the Law and Order universe, but cops that are on the inside. Like, get Sam Waterston in trouble in Hot Waterston.
Oh my God.
That was just
all right. Anyways,
but I will so that's all NBC. On a counterpunch, Murderville on Netflix is the other one I was watching with my son, and it's Will Arnett, and it's partially improvised with characters like they don't know what the murder's going to be, like the actors that come in, and it's been like Annie Murphy. Sharon Stone's episode was unbelievable.
I did see a scene.
Conan O'Brien was like, I mean, and so there are actors that kind of have set lines. I mean, some of the suspects are amazing. And in the end, the guest, has to basically Conan O'Brien has to say who he thinks was the murderer.
Based on the improv of seeing this crime show
and the
progress.
evidence that they've laid out. It is, I gotta believe, Will Arnett keeps such a straight face, but he is so hilarious. And you gotta believe they break numerous times. They catch the actors breaking the guests breaking sometimes. Never the actors that are playing the suspects. They're so good that I think when the guest walks in, they're like, oh my God, what is happening? Will Arnett must break at times that we're just not seeing. It's so good. And there is a through line with Jennifer Aniston. I'm just telling you, it's worth watching in order all the way through.
Well, wait, so how many episodes are we talking about?
It's only
100.
No. No, it's only it's 6 episodes. And the 6th episode, I have not seen that. I have to save it because I'm watching it with my son and my husband.
Yeah, sometimes you end up on the slow roll.
The Sharon Stone episode where it starts off with Will Arnett basically, as the detective saying okay. And he's Detective Terry. His name is Terry. And he's like, all right, don't fall in love with me. Normally partners fall in love with each other. And she's like, I don't think that's going to be a problem. And that's basically through the entire season. But there's an overall arc that's going to wrap up in episode 6 with Jennifer Aniston, who was his partner. So I'm not going to reveal anything, but eccentric detective Terry Seattle, Murderville on Netflix.
Okay. I had seen promotions for it, but now
it's just dumb fun. There's no other way to put it. It's just it's enjoyable. And like I said, with my son, it's perfect.
Nice. So I was going to talk about Dropout, which you brought up. So yeah, I started Dropout. It's on Hulu.
It just started, right?
The Dropout, not just Dropout.
Okay.
So The Dropout, yeah, it pretty much just started. So Hulu does a smart thing where they're gonna not let everything out at once, but they did do 3 episodes.
Handmaid's Tale rollout. Okay.
I like that. It's smart.
It makes you pace watch.
Yeah.
So you're also not up till 4 a.m.
Yeah. So, but it's smart because it gets you in because you can watch more than one episode, and then you're already in the habit and you're on board, and then you're like,
I'm very irritated I was not Elizabeth Holmes for Halloween. Hello.
Yeah. Well, okay, so the short version, as you brought it up a little bit, is it's a biopic, essentially, of Elizabeth Holmes. It's a mini-series. I think there's 8 episodes, I want to say. Okay, I'll double check.
But 3 are available now on Hulu.
3 are available now, and then it's going to be out once a week after that, I assume.
Who's playing Elizabeth Holmes?
Amanda Seyfried.
Ooh, I like her. Okay, that's good casting.
I'm getting nervous about the pronunciation.
No, I think that's correct, yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, she's amazing. Really, really good. Naveen Andrews is also in it. He's from Lost, you might remember. He plays her at first secret boyfriend and then CFO.
Oh, that's good casting. Because I read, there was I feel like the original breakout, Vanity Fair, there was some, once it kind of broke, the scandal around it.
Yeah, the scandal around it. Well, look, God, it's so interesting because my husband hates needles, can't get his blood drawn, hates it. And you're like, yeah, really would have been good if this was real. Unfortunately, this invention of the 1 drop of blood do 100 tests. Oh. It's like, oh, well. But
in theory, not
it just
not
wasn't
based
there.
In reality.
Yeah. And who knows? It might get there at some point, but it just, when she was doing it, it was not a real thing. And obviously that's what the whole
fake it till you make it.
And then unfortunately scamming people out of money for something that was nowhere near where it was supposed to be. And anyway, it's a very good version of the story. So in terms of getting the information, if you don't know the story, it's really fascinating and well done. And Amanda is amazing. And
because that's actually, so Elizabeth Holmes right now is in court. Her trial is currently happening. She's pregnant. I just saw
what?
I don't know with who. I just saw that this week, and I was like, her verdict might come down this week.
It's been going on this whole time because I think it started in 2017 or something. They were showing deposition.
I'm sure that there have been twists and turns because and with COVID, delays. And her pivot went from, sort of the fraud to a manipulated, abused woman, where she's saying her partner was really the brains behind it and manipulated her.
Oh.
So, and that's one of the things they went into the Law and Order episode that I watched. So,
well, it'll be interesting to see. What the evolution of the whole story in this series is, because we're starting at the beginning, and they're definitely painting it as like she was the brains behind it, and this was her plan. And
that's
her
what everybody thought.
Yeah.
She was the face of it. The famous cover, which I think was a Time magazine
she
cover.
was Time 100 or something. One year.
The one where she's holding up the little vial of blood, in the black turtleneck with starling blue eyes. I mean, hello. I don't know why I've not been that for every Halloween, but that is the infamous photo that a lot of people, even myself, was like, who is that? What is that?
Yeah.
That started the global interest in her. So to say that she wasn't the face, the brand of the business is like, yes, you were. Theranos, right?
Yeah, combination of therapy and
diagnose.
Yeah,
combination of therapy and Thanos.
That's
oops.
Believe me, it's
not Thanos. Yeah, it is supposed to be a combination of therapy and diagnosis. Yes,
I'm excited about it. Okay.
Well, and William H. Macy.
Is
amazing. He looks horrendous. They've really given him like a half.
Have you watched any of Shameless?
No. Well, that's a different kind of horrendous.
I love him, but it's not a stretch.
No. So, and he's great. He plays, which I'm assuming this is true, her neighbor and sort of friend of the family who was in the medical invention industry, and he was very annoyed that she didn't come to him, and part of her
wait.
So we'll see how that all plays out.
But that'll be so fascinating. Like I said, if I just saw this last week, like her verdict could be coming very soon.
That's amazing timing. I didn't realize that.
What, John?
The verdict has happened.
Oh, son of a gun.
I mean, also, who knows?
Or sentencing.
Sentencing scheduled for September.
Oh, they pushed it again.
September?
I don't know what they did, but it's a long time away.
Did I at least get the part right that she was pregnant?
I saw that she had a kid last July.
What the hell did I just see?
Liz is watching a fresh episode of news from 2019.
Yeah, I do not think she's pregnant again. So, course correction, people. She's had a baby. She has been found guilty,
we don't know.
But we don't know her sentencing.
The upshot is we don't have all the details on her current status.
Yeah, I am not the news source on that one, obviously. And it's called The Dropout.
The Dropout.
Because she infamously dropped out of college.
Right. She was at Stanford and she dropped out to pursue this. And she was inspired by a bunch of other billionaire dropouts.
Of course.
Steve Jobs dropped out. This is her, in her character saying like Steve Jobs dropped out. And she's very obsessed with billionaire culture and wants to be a billionaire, and really had a clear idea that like, I'm going to invent something and become a billionaire. And dropping out was part of that process because she was aware of it. What?
I mean, do they talk about her family at all? I mean, look, go ahead, please tell me.
Yes, the whole beginning, the family is definitely part of it. Why? What do you...
So, like, her dad, the Enron executive?
That is actually in the first episode that he lost his job in the first episode, and it's Enron. You're like, wait, what?
And is the great-great-grandfathers of Fleischmann's Yeast?
What?
No.
Fleischmann's Yeast. Oh.
No. Well, they haven't gotten into that. So look, it'll be interesting how much in this miniseries because it's nice when you get 8 episodes. You can really do a lot of stuff.
I just saw online her mother's played by Elizabeth Marvel. And I love that actress.
Yeah, she's great.
She's just one of those solid, it's almost like you don't remember her name because she just is the characters, and she just comes in, does a great job, and very much an ensemble actress.
Yeah, well, she pops up a lot, and then she does things like she's the president in Homeland, and you're like, oh yeah, you're great.
You're a Marvel, Elizabeth. And Kate McKinney's in it.
Now that hasn't happened yet, because she's also doing that one about Tiger King. Yeah,
one of us is going to have to take that assignment. I don't know.
Not me.
I think, unfortunately, Kate McKinnon was originally going to be
Elizabeth Holmes.
Yes.
What?
And then recast and no longer involved.
Oh, is that what it is? Because when you do a search, she does pop up, but I hadn't seen her, so I was like, this is weird.
Yeah, that Google have betrayed us on another episode. Similarly.
Yeah.
Google, don't just...
I think Amanda's a better casting.
She's amazing.
Yeah.
She's really, really good. So Yeah.
I'm definitely going to watch that on Hulu, The Dropout.
Although, I hate to do this to you. Do you realize, so executive producer and director of the first couple episodes, Michael Showalter of Wet Hot American Summer and The State and everything.
I love him.
Strong comedy. And then created by Elizabeth Merriweather, the new girl.
Oh, wow. That's such a strong comedy background. It is not a comedy. I mean, like, they're not doing it any kind of, like, funny way.
They get to be serious. I don't want them to be serious, but if they want to, I suppose they can.
Well, I do want them to be serious if they can do this. It's when people who are unbelievably great at comedy don't do comedy, and you're like, but don't waste your time on that.
Well, Adam McKay is a good example of dipping toes into a very
doing
broad.
Yeah, and being able to really do
I'm
both.
looking forward to that Lakers movie that's coming out. So there you go. I'll watch that for all of us. Someone's got to take on the Tiger King.
I think none of us need to watch anything. If it's a show that we're like, ooh, that's very popular. Who wants to pick that one up? Maybe we just need to have a guest star on this who's already watching it. Tell us about it. We'll become huge fans by your love fest of it.
Well, in theory, if it's something that we all watch and want to talk about, we could all talk about it. It's just there's also so many other things that we want to talk about. It was like, oh God, we can't do a whole episode on one show. Good Lord, we'd be so behind on all of our other stuff.
And I need to correct myself about Elizabeth Holmes, the famous holding up the blood vial. That was on Forbes.
Oh, it was on Forbes?
Yes, which actually has much more in the world that she was trying to be in. The billionaire world carries much more,
weight than time. You think?
Exactly. Yeah. So it was actually a Forbes cover.
And wait, Catherine, much more important than anything we've talked about.
Oh, what?
You realize Bill Irwin plays a part in here. Mr. Noodle.
Oh, my God.
Oh, I love him.
I mean, my favorite is sadly Mr. Noodle's brother, Mr. Noodle, who has passed. But yeah.
Oh.
I think it's... was he... Yes, I was trying to remember because my son Adam still very much watches Elmo, which is part of his autism. He watches a lot of things that
repeatedly,
yes, that are familiar and skew kind of young, and so we are still watching those kind of Mr. Noodle videos, which was inside of the Elmo's world of Sesame Street. So
Mr. Noodle,
yeah,
I love.
So yes, Bill Irwin, he's a professor at Stanford. He's very good.
Oh, he plays that role? Because I remember that from the article. That's an interesting role.
Yeah, he's very good. And not Mr. Noodle-esque at all.
But I will say, Elizabeth Holmes, the fake it till you make it, the culture that we're in, how quickly things can change. I mean, in 2016, her net worth was supposedly like $4.5 billion, the evaluation. And we're only talking about 2021 or 20 where the verdict came down. Such a short span of rise and fall.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy.
Well, on the rise and fall, the other thing, we talked about this a little bit on our huge fans of Shonda Rhimes, the Inventing Anna, which is also a fake it till you make it. It's based on real events.
Yeah. I mean, I have to get, it irritates me because where I'm at in that series, I'm still kind of bizarrely rooting for Anna to make it, even though I'm like, okay, then when she started to fraudulently provide papers to the bank, you're like, fuck. But up until then, you're like, yeah, that's how a lot of people make it. Yeah. I mean, she doesn't really reference her background. She inflated her experience well,
that was definitely her lawyer's sort of spin on it. Was like, everybody, has to inflate things a little bit and pad things a little bit. And I mean, the
problem is when you then get into true fraud,
actual fraud,
the bank and all that. But you're like, come on, girl, the Anna Delvey Foundation, ADF, come on. So yes.
Yeah, so I finished it. Was what I was going to say. Again, we talked about it in our Shonda Rhimes Huge Fans episode, just that it was one of the current things that Shonda Rhimes is doing. So it's currently on Netflix. It's 9 episodes, which is kind of interesting. Usually we get 8 or 10, but it's a 9. It's a 9 run. It's really good. It's told from the point of view of the journalist who is investigating the story, and that character is played by Anna Klumsky. Anyway, it's very good, and I highly recommend it, and I finished that. So that's what I did. I did 2 biopic miniseries of women who were scamming the system.
I know we need a couple of women that are actually bosses and CEOs.
Where it's actually they're accomplishing what they're saying they're accomplishing.
Come on, let's focus on that.
Okay, so that's it for me. Those two for now. I mean, look, I'm also keeping up on Abbott Elementary and Ghosts and like so many other things.
Oh yeah. Speaking of keeping up, John, is it cool if I go next?
Please do.
He loves it when someone takes the reins. Speaking of keeping up, I finished 2 series, one of which I was watching with John, one of which is a catch up for this series. I finished Euphoria. So I got through watching it like a piece at a time, and then it's a lot per episode to chunk away at. These are not fun lives to be following along. This is not The Bachelor, friends. But I got to the end and I was like, wait, where did all of these storylines get to? Because I'm like, the end of season 1, I had season 2 like up and ready to go. So I didn't have to like have any anxiety about like, oh no, this didn't work out. And now I'm going to wait months to figure out. This was like, I got the whole season. Let's go. I think I have to watch at least the last 4 episodes all over again because I was so interested in how's this going to pay off? What's this person doing? What's happening here? What's going on there? That story's done. We're never getting that person again. Well, shoot.
I guess
I didn't track that being the ending of that. So I went back through and watched the last 4 episodes lightly. I was like, what's the part that I kind of lost my focus or attention? Okay, that's what I want to pay attention to. So part of it was this whole season has a big story arc about a play that's going on.
I mean, I was the VP of the Thespian Club at Louisville. So, this was really...
It was like, it was on caliber for I think I've used this reference before, for a Max from Rushmore.
For sure.
It was
I feel like there was a little homages.
Balls to the walls, as it were. And when I was rewatching it, part of what I was tracking was, I hadn't anticipated Lexi's entire story arc paying off like that. I was anticipating like a little love story arc. That's a totally different payoff. So it was like I got misdirected and then paid off with this play. Fantastic payoff. But I was looking for the storyline that gave me a little, everybody else is screwing each other in the show, like physically or mentally or however. Is she going to get any action? No action for Lexi. Fine. Sorry to spoil it for y'all.
And Lexi's played by
Judd Apatow's daughter,
Maud.
And
she's freaking awesome.
She's amazing. I'm still like so on board for everything that happened with her for this season. Like the play was great, but the reality show in her mind like blew my. I was like, this is fantastic.
It was very meta. There were a lot of levels, and I mean, I was so jealous of like the big online joke, and I mean, I said it as well, having been in high school theater, like, what the hell were the budgets? I mean, for costume and sets. I mean, Heather McDonald, who's one of my best friends, she was president for the Thespians, and I was VP. And I remember we did this scene from Night Mother that, budget-wise, we were allowed a door. Like a door, like on stage. We did stark lighting and we did all the stuff to basically show. I played the Sissy Spacek character, the daughter, on the other side of the door who's going to kill herself. And Heather plays the mother on the other side who's trying to stop her from killing herself. We did a door. And so I'm watching these sets and I'm like, wow. But yes, I felt like Rushmore elements of it for sure.
At the highest level of set accomplishments for a stage production in high school that's thrown together at the last minute. According to the series, like, I had an idea. Listen, this season, I feel like last season from the beginning to the end was like 2 months of just the worst turmoil, from like homecoming to like whatever the carnival was right before Christmas break. And then the series continued with the Christmas break episode. So that was like, okay, we're in a condensed time span. This season was like an entire year. It was really hard for me to track how much time had passed. Like some of the characters have physical damage to them that is gone. And I'm like, is it just because I'm really old and it takes me a long time to heal? This doesn't make any sense.
Did you also
or was it, they actually say it's months, but it was hard to track.
And I do feel like, I have loved Euphoria. I have watched it. It is very adult. It is.
I'm too scared.
And I have a lot of friends who are hesitant. They are, especially if they have kids. we have a sister who has a teenage son, and I've told her, I'm like, it might be harder for me to watch if I knew my son was the exact age as most of these characters. It would give me anxiety. It gives me anxiety to watch it.
Yeah.
You think this is what these kids today are facing.
Yeah, for sure.
But I also don't feel like bury your head in the sand. But at the same time, there are just scenes that are so heartbreaking. And teenage years are heartbreaking to begin with. And because that's what actually they've done studies, it's supposed to set you up for life. That's where you're supposed to start to learn how to handle it. So to avoid it, but there are elements of this that are like, it is you watching, you're just like, okay, that was not my high school experience. Like, holy crap.
In a very light comparison of a single word high school juggernaut that everybody knows, the vibe is not Grease, y'all.
Well, okay, did you also feel like the Rushmore send up, but then the waiting for Guffman with the empty chair?
The whole season, the whole season had so many great homages to visual stylistics that were pulled from like contemporary directors and movies and television shows. You just had, it was so rich and so deep. I got lost in it. That's why I had to keep going back to watch.
Right.
I'm like, no, I do not remember how did we get to this argument?
And you know what I will say? I think, if you watched it just on the surface level, you would think it's like a boyfriend and girlfriend or like that. But I actually took it because I have girlfriends from high school, and literally one set of them just recently broke up. Like, we're full-grown adults here, okay? The greatest heartbreak sometimes is the betrayal of friendship and the intimacy of that friendship they explored. That we don't want to do spoiler alerts, but it is really, there are so many layers of parental.
There's literally a character this season, which you would have been exposed to in any of the social media posts, that has such an entirely different boyfriend experience and girlfriend's experience that she's as open with both, but in different ways, and one works. It's not good. The boyfriend relationship, you shouldn't be doing that, but whatever. Then her friends know all of the details. Every bit of open and honesty that she's trying to be with her boyfriend, her girlfriends are using that as a negative and tearing into her with it and using that against her. It's really challenging because like you get a character that you kind of want to be on board with, and they're a little bit too open in every direction, and you're like, oh, well, that worked out one way and not great, but that really didn't work out the other way.
Yeah, the psychological sort of layers of it. You're like, y'all need to be in therapy, like all of you. Oh, yeah. So, and, there was...
Is there even a school counselor in the show?
Oh, my God. Where is that character? That is not a high school that most therapists can handle. They'd be like, and I'm out. So, like, where is that character? Season 3, high school counselor, big failure.
The school counselor that's just like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. This is a bit much.
So, yeah, I'm on board with you. I do recommend it, but I put a little asterisk next to it that, like, it is a tough watch. I mean, it is challenging.
Not only is the subject matter challenging, because it's really difficult to see people make these terrible choices and continue down these paths. And although that isn't the root story, if you know, that was a great pun, of the season, which is fine. That wasn't the majority of what I was pulling from the season, because there's so much other stuff to look at and so much other storylines that were compelling. So it's a very, very challenging show to watch and can put you in a negative headspace because the characters are doing bad stuff.
But very rewarding. The performances are incredible.
Visually compelling. Story-wise, it just had so many of these elements. And, I don't mind a complicated story. I am a fan of the TV series Lost. That thing bips, baps, and roundabouts itself all over the place. This season did a little bit too much of that for a high school not set on an island in a time blip. So the high school didn't necessarily need to have so much back and forth. When we were 12, now we're 16. That's not that many years apart.
Now that you brought up Lost, I'm just going to do a real throwback. So Maud Apatow in This Is 40 plays the daughter in it, and she's like obsessed with Lost.
Yes, God, I forgot about that.
I have that reference, but it's like she gets destroyed over watching the entire series.
Oh God,
Lost.
she's so great. It heard that whole little.
I don't
arc.
think it's This Is 40 though. I think
it is absolutely This Is 40.
Oh,
because she plays the daughter. She plays the older daughter.
For some reason, I put that in the George Clooney the Hawaiian movie.
No.
Is she the daughter in that, or do I have my?
I think you have it wrong.
Young
This is
actresses
40.
crossed?
Yeah, I
Sorry.
think you do. But I mean, I just recently watched This Is 40, and like a lot of it rang true. But so Euphoria, and Zendaya is going to get nominated for everything.
And
for
she's
sure.
executive producing the season. She's just like that.
Win it all.
Yep.
Win it
Take
all.
it all down.
Take it all down. You were incredible. Yep.
All right, so I don't think I need to talk about anything else. This episode's going really long.
Oh, I do have to say, The Descendants. I was like, what is that movie
Thank
called?
you.
It's
I
The
could not come up with
Descendants.
that, and I definitely did not track. That's not where the sad lost girl watching Lost is in. I lost that one.
Well, that Shailene Woodley is in it, so maybe you're.
Yeah, I was like, nope, didn't define which one of those young women was having a good time, a bad time watching Lost.
Well, because I
They
think
did.
in This Is 40, both of the daughters are Apatow's daughters. Like
Yes.
Yes, correct. Their mother was actually the lead in the movie. So
I mean,
did they use their own house? Like, I don't know. There was a lot of like.
I don't feel like the two of you should be jealous of that experience, having your dad cast you in some awesome movies. But I think you all really missed out. Like there was an opportunity for the Killmonger girls.
I mean, we really
to be
can't
the
say anything
Apatow
about
girls.
nepotism. There's 4 siblings sitting here, so whatever. It's like, oh my god. Okay.
All right.
Is it John? John, you're up.
Oh, before John, I just want to say the other series that I wrapped up watching, but I'm not talking about this week, is The Righteous Gemstones. Just a nugget.
Okay.
Not too many negative family stories. I'm just going to hold off on that one this week. All right, John, you're up.
All right, then it's me. Okay, so similar but different. I don't know what that means, but I am going to talk about a show that has just been canceled.
Oh, no. What?
Yes, Ordinary Joe on NBC.
Oh.
What? You watch that?
Okay, save it for whoever cares because that's not me. Yes, I did watch it because well, here's the deal. You have one angle. It was like, okay, there's from season 1 of You, the lady we all know, Beck, Elizabeth Lale. I was like, well, then I'm watching this
Yeah.
show. Whatever it
Okay.
is, I'm going to watch it. And she was great, as usual. So, they got to air 13 episodes before it got canceled last week.
So just one season, or
That's like a half season.
Yeah, they got canceled. We're
Okay.
not talking about something else.
Well,
Yes.
sometimes a show will like make a full run. I wonder if they only made the 13 or
probably because COVID?
Look, I have no idea. We're talking about network television, so they do frequently order half seasons, and that's why you call the back nine separate from golf. And so
it's the exact same as golf. What do you
and
mean?
we're going into the spring season and spring
Sweeps.
Yeah, sweeps. Oh, okay. So, just a quick IMDb check. They all have only 13 episodes, the main character. So it looks like they only made 13.
Right. Yeah. So I was right. Thank you. So yes, we're going into the spring season, and they apparently decided
No thanks.
not to do this anymore.
Aw.
So sad for me. It was very fun. It was an interesting, look, it certainly wasn't perfect. There were many aspects I didn't love. James Wolk, who was the male lead. So the thing was, there were 3 timelines, or not exactly 3 timelines. There were 2 timelines, late and now, but there are 3 universes.
Wait, 2 timelines and 3 universes?
No, whatever. They're just flashbacks.
Okay.
Didn't
I
need to
mean-
even go that direction. So anyway, there are 3 universes is really the important point. They all, took off from this moment in his history where he could have made 3 different choices.
Right, like graduation or something.
Yes. After his graduation, he could have talked to the girl he was already talking to and messing around with, Elizabeth Lale. He could have talked to the new girl he met and ran into, coincidentally, while being late for his graduation, Natalie Martinez. Or he could have gone with his family and just had a family party after the graduation. So 3 different choices leading to 3 different universes.
What was the Gwyneth Paltrow
Sliding doors?
Yeah, this is a sliding doors sort of series.
I think we can forget history, but sure.
It's more than a door, Catherine. It's multiple choices. It's like a rotating door. What are those called? I've lost that. Never mind.
I don't know.
Oh,
yeah.
you mean like at a hotel,
Yeah.
the revolving door?
Rotating, revolving. God, close.
Close. It was close. All right. Sorry, John. Go on.
So anyway, yeah, so we have these 3 universes, and one of the real super issues, James Wolk, I felt like it was interesting. So in one, he's a rock star, and in that one, his hair is the most disheveled, and he looks the worst or oldest. And then you have the next one where he's a nurse, and his hair is like normal, and he looks slightly tired. And then in the next one, he's a cop, and then he's like real clean cut hair, and he looks the best. And you're like, why does that logic make sense? I don't know why you
interesting.
did that to me. That's
they
also, of
definitely
course,
had to,
my
style
judgment.
him. Yeah.
So the 3 different, on graduation days, the 3 different choices led to 3 different careers as well.
Well,
Right.
3 different hair products.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's true. As
and
well,
3 different relationships, essentially.
yes, absolutely. In one of them, he doesn't have a relationship, and then through the course of the season, as a cop, he develops a relationship. And the other one, as the rock star, he's with Natalie Martinez, the girl that he just met at the graduation. And then as the nurse is the one where he is with Elizabeth Lale, the girl he was already seeing. And that is due because part of what's happening at that moment at his graduation and what the girl, Elizabeth Lale, was trying to tell him was she's pregnant. And then it also turns out that child has a disability. So, how that plays out in these 3 universes is a huge
part of the story.
I mean, it's
And
very,
sadly, the upshot is you were very into it and it is canceled.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind a 1-season cancel. I'll go back. There's another show I'm sure will come up in the future when I rewatch it again and, get to live through the short 1-season cancel. So I don't
You're not
mind
going to
it.
say which show that is?
Save it for the future.
You are a jerk. What the heck? Yeah,
So-
I've had a couple. I don't think any 1-season cancels, but recently some 2-season cancels that are very hard and sad.
Yeah, and it's this is just life. This is how it goes. Sometimes shows don't get to finish the way they should, and you don't get as much out of them as you want. And it's also sad for these actors and actresses who are playing great parts that you like, and you don't get to see more of that.
Yeah, for
As
sure.
the rock star, is he singing in it? Is he actually singing?
Yeah, he
Oh.
he does, I believe. I mean, it sounds like him when he sings. He's his go-to in basically everything is Billy Joel. That's his he frequently is playing the piano and sings Billy Joel songs, even when he's not a rock star, right? That's because his friends know he can just sing so good. He's just so musically talented. Why didn't you do that? Well, in this other universe, he did, and it turned out great for him.
Oh, it says online he was the singer. Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, he did a good job at that. It was an interesting. The Rockstar universe was occasionally dealt with good. It was fun. It was also the other thing that crosses over all 3 universes is the Senator, played by Adam Rodriguez.
Oh, I love him.
Yeah, I totally recognize him. He's great. Shockingly, there's another CSI Miami crossover.
I
that
was
I'm not
John.
gonna get into.
I was looking at it like John. Okay, that's a CSI Miami reference because he was like the hot dude in CSI Miami.
Yeah, he does a great
Yes.
job, and it's interesting what aspects cross over from one to another and what's going on because some of them are good, some of them are bad. It's also the genesis of the start of the series is an issue that happens with the Senator that happens in each one but is dealt with differently. Because the reason why you are crossing over with the Senator is because the woman who he meets at his graduation, Natalie Martinez, Amy Kindalan, she wanted to get into politics and then was trying and had maybe already reached out to him, and then it was I gotta go for it, and then it turns out good. I ended up working with this senator, or I didn't, or I did later, kind of a deal. So it was enjoyable, and it's a little tough to keep track of 3 universes with exactly the same characters doing slightly different things, but some things are the same. So it's, but hey, they colored it differently, green, red, and blue for you, so you can really totally tell.
Track it. All right, well, good.
But yeah, someday, a couple years from now, I'll watch it again, and it'll be great.
All right,
Well, it is NBC, so probably available on Peacock would be my guess. And
Yes, indeed.
yeah, okay, all right.
So the other thing that's slightly important about Ordinary Joe, so created by Matt Reeves, a name you might know now because he just put out the Batman that everybody
What?
loves.
Oh, really?
wow.
wait a minute. What do you mean
okay.
he put out?
Well, he's the director and wrote it.
Wait. He wait.
The Robert Pattinson Batman that came out last week.
And how is he connected to Ordinary Joe?
He created the show.
Wow, that is.
Well, I think he's going to be okay.
I like it.
Well, here's the odd thing is it's not completely out of left field because he was co-creator with J.J. Abrams of Felicity.
Oh, wow.
But on the other
interesting.
hand, it is out of left field because then he did, he has an interesting, his career is co-written Paul Bear, but then the other stuff is co-written Under Siege 2, directed Cloverfield, Let Me In, the Vampire Movie, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, War of the Planet of the Apes. So there's an interesting mix of...
Okay, the Planet of the Apes ones I can get because they are very dark and menacing, but Paul Bearer, isn't that with Owen Wilson?
No, going way back. We're talking about
from
David
Friends?
Schwimmer.
Yayo.
Oh, wow.
What? Okay, that is, but listen, we love people with range, so go for it. That's pretty awesome. I am going to see that Batman.
Yeah, I will say this.
The Batman.
The conceit of Batman is that Bruce Wayne, although he's a billionaire, he's an ordinary Joe.
Oh, my God. That's the
it's
connection.
Like a secret level.
Oh, my Lord. I don't know if that parallel.
100%.
Yeah, but
and
what are
also,
his
don't
three
even get me
other-
started with the fact that there's a graduation and a choice that's made and a very weird direction that everybody's life goes in. And Felicity, I think I see a theme, Mr. Reeves.
Wow. Okay. That's cool.
So again, very sad that it's canceled.
All right.
Well, I guess that's it for this episode. Oh, my gosh.
So I watched the Law and Orders,
Various Law and Orders.
on NBC, and also Murderville
Murderville on Netflix.
on Netflix.
Mm-hmm. And I did the Dropout, the Elizabeth Holmes story that is currently on Hulu, part of it, and more to come. And then Inventing Anna, which is on Netflix, which is a miniseries as well. So they're both miniseries. Okay, that was it for me.
And I just got you all caught up on Euphoria and how great a show it is and how representative the name of the show is to the experience of watching it. It's just euphoric. You just enjoy it so much. It's great.
And that is available on
HBO Max.
There you go.
And a very similarly named Ordinary Joe on NBC. So that was on NBC and now on Peacock, but canceled.
Oh, but canceled. All right. Well, thank you everybody for listening to what we're watching. Definitely subscribe. And if you want to comment or review, that'd be great.
Make sure to follow us on all of our socials. And we also have a Patreon. You could subscribe to that.
And that is podcast watching for all of our social handles and all that. So that's another episode of What We Are Watching.